You cannot see us here. Muy bien, bienvenidos a todos. ¿Cómo están ustedes?
Bien.
Sí, anoche me dio nervios anoche ver las noticias. No pude ver más. I could not watch anymore. Because estaba harta. I was up to here. Okay, so me alegro de que estemos aquí. I am happy that we are all here. We've got kind of a mixed bag of things to practice tonight. A mixed bag. And I do want to open with a video that I have seen for a while, but I had not previewed. And we probably should have done this the week we were doing the verbs like gustar, vale la pena. It is worth it to go through at least part of this video. And I'll probably leave the rest of it. We'll probably do the first 8 to 10 minutes. So Marlene, fair warning, we're doing a video. Be forewarned. Just try to come back in. But the first 8 minutes we'll do. The title on this video is Me da vergüenza. Me da vergüenza. Y vergüenza es shame.
Oh, yes. Oh.
This is one of these super common phrases they use with dar. And it's always me da. And it's like me da nervios or me dio nervios, me da nervios, it gives me nerves. This is me da vergüenza, it gives me shame, literally. But we would probably translate it loosely as it really embarrasses me. It makes me red-faced embarrassed. Okay, that's what we would say. Because vergüenza is a really strong word for shame. Hide my face kind of stuff. But he goes through a lot of machinations, and as he always does, because he tells stories, he will not explain. He will just use me da vergüenza, and me da with some other things too. Entonces vale la pena. It is kind of worth it to watch at least the first 8 minutes, and I'll leave the rest of it for you to peruse at your leisure. ¿Dónde aquí viene. Momentito. And I need to move everything around because Chrome only likes the video coming from screen number 1. ¿Por qué? No sé. Ok. A ver, aquí vamos.
Un nuevo vídeo de español con Juan. Hoy quiero pedir disculpas. Por el vídeo de la semana pasada. Fue imperdonable, muy poco profesional, fue un vídeo muy tonto.
He's apologizing here. Imperdonable, unforgivable. Muy poco profesional. It was very little professional. So we have to say it was not very professional. Fue un video muy tonto. It's a really stupid video. Now he's going to go on and on about this because this is actually tied into the story. He isn't really apologizing for a video he had done the previous week. He's doing this to show how me da is used.
De verdad, eso no es serio. Tengo que cambiar mi estilo.
I gotta change my style.
El estilo de los vídeos, mi estilo de dar clase.
My style of teaching class, I gotta change it all. It sucks.
Estoy muy arrepentido, de verdad.
I'm repentant. I'm truly repentant. I beg your forgiveness.
Estoy muy arrepentido. Quizás quite ese vídeo y otros muchos. He hecho muchos vídeos muy poco profesionales.
I've made really not very professional videos.
Muy poco serios.
Not very serious. Muy poco serios, very little bit of serious, very little bit of professional.
Creo que tengo que cambiar. Me da vergüenza. Me da
Me da vergüenza. It embarrasses me. Literally, it gives me shame, but it embarrasses me.
vergüenza, sinceramente. Me da vergüenza ahora.
And now the tab at the top says dar, vergüenza, miedo, etc. So vergüenza and miedo do not equate each other, right? Miedo is fear. Me da miedo, it scares me. Me da vergüenza, it shames me, literally, it makes me feel embarrassed.
Pensar que he hecho ese vídeo, ¿no? Y entonces he decidido ser más serio.
I have decided to be more serious. He decidido ser más serio. I have decided to be more serious.
Mucho más serio. He decidido hacer un tipo de vídeos diferentes, hablando de cosas más importantes, de cosas más serias. Y entonces he pensado, ¿qué mejor lugar para hacer vídeos serios que un cementerio?
What better place to make serious videos than in a cemetery?
Porque yo lo que necesito es cambiar.
Because what I need to do is change.
Cambiar mi imagen, romper esa imagen de tío poco serio, de tío gracioso, así.
I need to ditch this image. Romper is literally break. I need to ditch this image of being a not very serious guy, a funny guy. When he says tío, which is uncle, and you can see subtitles aren't always exactly correct, but tío is a slang in Spanish for a guy. I got to stop being a funny guy. I got to start being a serious guy.
Y andaluz, que
Andaluz is where he's from, Andalucía,
en fin, que no se
southern
toma
British
nada
country.
en serio.
En fin, no se toma nada en serio. Who doesn't take anything seriously?
Y qué mejor lugar que un cementerio, tío. Un cementerio. Hacer vídeos en un cementerio.
Es un cementerio inglés. This is an English cemetery.
Yo creo
Él
que
trabaja
un
en Inglaterra.
cementerio es el mejor lugar para hablar de cosas serias, para hablar
Cemetery
de
was a place to talk about
misterios,
serious things. And serious
para
things.
hablar de cosas que valen la pena, ¿no?
To talk about things that are
Me
worthwhile.
parece a mí, me parece.
Me parece a mí.
Me parece que
Seems
este
to
es el
me.
lugar ideal para hablar de cosas serias.
Seems to me, me parece que es el mejor lugar de hablar de cosas serias. Seems to me it's the best place to talk about serious
Un lugar
things.
así te inspira
Te inspira, it inspires you. It inspires you to speak, hablar
de cosas importantes.
about important stuff.
¿De dónde venimos?
Where we came from, where we come
¿A
from,
dónde vamos?
where we're going to.
¿Cuál es la diferencia entre ser y estar?
What's the difference between saying and estar? Another serious thing.
Si el verbo ser se usa para hablar de cosas permanentes,
If ser is used to talk about permanent
¿por qué
things,
se dice estar muerto?
why do they use está muerto? Why do they use está muerto to say dead? Same thing you guys always ask. Yeah, es normal.
¿Por qué se dice estar muerto?
Why do they say estar muerto?
Es que me molesta.
Here comes
Me molesta mucho.
Here comes another verb like usted. Me molesta mucho. Bothers me a lot. It annoys me a lot.
Que la gente piense que yo no soy serio, que yo no
It bothers me a lot that people think I'm not serious.
soy un profesor serio. Eso
Not a
me
serious teacher.
molesta.
It
Eso
really
me
bothers me.
molesta. Me parece, bueno, me parece que yo soy tan serio
I think I'm
como cualquier otro
as serious
profesor.
as any other professor, any other teacher.
No sé.
I don't know. This is all tongue in cheek. He doesn't really doubt himself.
Quizás es que hablo
Perhaps
poco de gramática.
it's that I don't speak very much
A mí
about
es que
grammar.
me aburre. Me aburre.
Me
la
aburre,
gramática.
another verb like you said, because it bores me. Me aburre. Me aburre la gramática. Grammar bores me.
Me aburre mucho la gramática. Me divierte más hacer vídeos así
I have
en
more fun making
contexto y tal,
videos
pero si es
in
necesario,
context.
But
if it's necessary that I change,
yo no quiero que la gente piense,
I don't want
yo no
people to
quiero que la
think,
gente piense de mí que yo no soy un
I don't
profesor
want people
serio,
to
no,
think
hombre,
about
no.
me as, I'm not a serious teacher.
Me molesta, tío, me molesta.
It bugs me, man, it bugs me.
Eso. Es que, sinceramente, es algo que me duele,
Es algo que me duele. Here comes another verb like you said. It's something that hurts me. Que me duele. It hurts me.
me duele profundamente, me
It
duele
deeply
mucho.
hurts me.
Me duele que penséis,
It hurts me
que
that
no
you guys might
que no
think
soy serio.
that I'm not a serious person.
Me duele y me preocupa.
It bothers me and it worries me. Me preocupa. It worries me.
Preocupa mucho.
So now you see how he's used all these things to tell his little story of woe. Yeah. Me duele, me molesta, me preocupa, me aburre. All these things that tie in and all these verbs that are just like you said. And it's just a little sample. And I just wanted to preview that. I will give you the rest of it to watch the last 10 minutes. Porque vale la pena, because it is worth it. But it just shows you a little bit about how he's tying all these things into the story. And of course, using a cemetery to question the value of his life and what he's doing. Okay, studying. Un repaso bastante breve de verbos como gustar. Me parece, I think that it seems to me, me duele, it hurts me, me molesta, bothers me, me aburre, bores me. Me da vergüenza, it embarrasses the heck out of me. Okay. A ver, pero esta noche, vamos a repasar un poquito del pasado. We're going to review a little bit more about past. I hope we get into kind of a little quick review of llevar. We'll see if we have time for it. Vamos a ver. I hope all of you at least look at, if nothing else, destinos, to look back at all those little times that in the telling of the story, they referenced past tense verbs. A lot of them in that episode being really more towards the predator side about what people did recently. And of course, claro, momentito. Aquí para ver, here to take a look. Again, we've got these endings that we use, for pretérito. AR and ER verbs are going to go to opposite sides, right? But they have endings that are typically what you always see in past tense, even though they're different because they're AR endings and ER, IR endings. You see some kind of recurring combinations of letters that tell you hello, I'm past tense, right? These are all marker words that tell you a verb is something that is done, over with, right? Haste o, pero o con acento, amos, hastes, aron. Here and I are verbs, we've got the I, iste, yo, imos, that istes, which we only use in Spain, hieron, okay? Those are for the regular preterite. The irregular preterite, goes into all kinds of funky irregulars. So, es gran problema. Pero el imperfecto es muy, muy fácil, ¿sí? Verbos de AR tiene combinaciones como aba, abas, ábamos, aban, ya, illas, illa, íamos, illan, para verbos de ER, IR. ¿Ok? A ver, un breve repaso, just a little review of what those endings themselves are. I do want to take a look at the exercises I asked you to take a look at, because they did give you answers, but I want to see if you had questions about these. If you saw the answer, but you said, but I don't know why it is the way it is. Why is that answer that way? Why is that answer? I looked it up, but it still doesn't make sense to me. We'll see if we can make this a little bit bigger, un poquito más grande, ¿sí? El primer ejercicio. Oh, choose preterite or imperfect. Muy difícil. Really hard. I went to the park yesterday. ¿Saben cómo se dice? I went to the park yesterday. Primero, imperfecto o pretérito. Imperfecto o pretérito. I went to the park yesterday.
Pretérito.
Pretérito, sí, muy obvio porque es un evento y pasó ayer, yesterday. Entonces, ¿cómo se dice? I went to the park.
Yo fui al parque.
Fui al parque ayer. Fui al parque ayer. Fui al parque. Fui. Muy irregular. You cannot use ir without using the irregular form, right? And they all go the fui sounds, right? Pero fui para yo. Okay, the Spaniards discovered pretérito imperfecto. Pretérito imperfecto. ¿Cuál es? Which one?
Pretérito.
Pretérito, sí. Tenemos un año específico. We've got a specific year. So here's a reason we would use that, right? And, people would not say, well, they were discovering. You would say discovered. Descubrieron. Los españoles descubrieron América en 1492. Okay. As a child, de niño o de niña, ¿sí? I used to play pretérito imperfecto. Pretérito imperfecto. Imperfecto. That used to is always a giveaway, right? Used to means did it a lot. And anything that you did it a lot, but we don't know how many times. It was just all the time, right? Goes into the aba or the ia. And since this is jugar, an AR verb, we know it'll be an aba ending. I used to play, yo jugaba. You may need to say the yo with these imperfectos because, right, yo will share the same form with el, ella, usted. It's just what they do. Imperfecto shares forms. The yo in imperfecto shares its form with el, ella, usted. So there you may hear people use that pronoun more, either a yo or an el, ella, usted, because those two verbs will be the same form. That's just what they do. Oh, my grandfather was always fun. Imperfecto o pretérito, ¿cuál?
Imperfecto.
Imperfecto. ¿Y por qué, Susana? ¿Por qué es imperfecto?
Description.
Description. Anything that's description is not 1492. It's just kind of out there. We don't know when, just all the time, right? So, and again, here's one of the very few irregulars for imperfecto. Ser en imperfecto es era. Mi abuelo siempre era divertido, gracioso, whatever you use for fun and fun-loving. Pero era, he was, because we're describing what he used to be like. And that's how he was is not an event, it's just how he used to act, right? Okay, número 5, we ate and then we went to the beach. Pretérito imperfecto, ¿cuál es? Pretérito. And here we have, albeit a short sequence, because there are only 2. Hay dos eventos, right? We did this, then we did this. It's one after the other, right? If we had 5 different actions, but we did them one right after the other in that order, they're all going to be pretérito because it's a sequence of events. Comimos, we ate, y entonces, o después, fuimos a la playa. Fuimos a la playa, muy bien. First he lived in Denmark and then in Spain.
So Marilyn, this is one of the first times I started to get screwed up, and that was making sure that I understood chain of events, which is, preterite versus background information, which was imperfect. And I would trip up on that.
On
so
the sequence.
Could you give me a chain of events that could be misinterpreted as background information? Apparently, I kept flipping those 2 back and forth.
Oh, background information.
Yeah.
Like imperfect.
I would not call that information.
I guess what I'm saying is,
all right. So where you're getting tripped up is what's going on in the background in an interrupting event.
yeah, right. So I would, in some cases, recognize it as a chain of events, but then sometimes I would think it's background information and, throw in an imperfecto as opposed to preterite.
So here is something where you really need to think. When you say, don't think background information, think about what was going on, not information, but what was going on. Okay. Anything that was going on is imperfecto. Okay, entonces, I'm going to give you something where I give you a sequence of 3 events, and then I'm going to have a background event. Okay, bien. Vale, bueno. Salí de mi casa, hoy salí de mi casa, fui al supermercado, hice las compras y cuando llegué a casa, cuando regresé a casa, mi esposo estaba cocinando. Mi esposo estaba cocinando o mi esposo cocinaba cuando entré en casa. Mi esposo cocinaba cuando entré en casa. My husband was cooking when I came in the door. So I left the house, I went to the store, I made my purchases, and my husband was cooking, however, when I walked into the house. So here's how I want you to think of it. He was cooking before I walked in. The reason we call it background action is that cocinaba, it was happening before I walked in the door. It happened while I was walking in the door. It was still going on after I came on and said, hola, ¿cómo estás? It was going on for a long period of time. When you think of background goes on a long period of time. And when something interrupts and happens in the middle, that background event was going on before the interrupting event, during the interrupting event, and it was still happening probably after the interrupting event. So you have to think of cocinaba as a continuous thing going on in the background. Don't think about it as information. Information is mi abuelo era divertido. My grandpa was fun. That's information because it's a description. But was cooking happened before this one specific event of me coming into the house. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
You kind of answered one of my questions, which was, can you take the present progressive and put it in the past?
You could, and people
Because I
will flip-
noticed when
yeah, and I flip-flopped and did that. People do that. Yes, you can.
when I
People
did
will
that in the exercise-
regularly, yeah, people will regularly flip-flop. And if I just said estaba cocinando, I just give it a more rolling kind of feel versus cocinada. I mean, they essentially really mean the same.
Mhm.
Son iguales. They're really the same. Okay. But ate and went to the beach. Perdón. Vamos a ver. Ate and went to the beach are two separate events, but they followed each other. Okay. We ate. It was over with. We went to the beach. It was over with. We weren't still eating while we were going to the beach.
Mm.
I could change it into that if I wanted to, but then the picture I paint in the mind of the person I'm talking to is, wow, the whole time I went to the beach, I was doing this. That it was going on for a long time, and then I got to the beach, I was still munching. And if that is what happened, that's what you should use. So there's no one right thing. What's right is using the thing that describes it, okay? So this is why, for me, it is wonderful when I hear people talk and when I read, because I absolutely know when they start to switch into imperfecto, that it was an activity that was going on and on and on and on and on like that. And I know when they use pretérito, oh, done, 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 done. Happened and done, happened and done. Okay? Or, imperfecto is, of course, besides rolling activity going on in the past, it is description too, like with this abuelo sentence. Mi abuelo siempre era muy divertido, muy chistoso, muy gracioso, okay? 6 was a little bit tougher. First, he lived in Denmark and then in Spain. Do we have two separate incidents here? We do. So really, we're talking about two things that happened in separate time periods, and they're kind of both done. They're both done, really. Primero, vivió en Dinamarca y entonces en España. We're talking about two things that are done. Now, if you use vivía, it would really more be a translation of he used to live. And if what you mean is used to live, then use vivía. But if you're stating, oh, these are both just over with. He lived in Denmark, that was done. He lived in Spain, that was done. He moved on to a different place. Then pretérito. Depends on what you mean, okay? This one, número siete, it really doesn't depend on what you mean. It's you worked in the company for 25 years, and once you peg that with 25 años, once you peg that with 25 years, that is a set line of demarcation. That is it's a time. You can put it in a box, put a lid on it, say this is, it's got a beginning, it's got an end. It's a 25-year period, span of time. Okay. Tú trabajaste o usted trabajó, depende, right? Depends on what you use. Ustedes trabajaron en la compañía por 25 años.
Ajá. Okay, so that's another question I had, because that's how I structured the sentence. But then the response in the homework reversed it and said, tú trabajaste without the por 25 años.
Oh,
la-
you can do that too.
and-
Yeah, you can do that too.
But do you allow the por if you put the time period first?
Oh, if you put the time frame first, then you probably need the poem.
Well, I don't think that's what was in their response. I have to check that.
You know, oh yeah, en la compañía 25 años. Okay, yeah. You know, that's just a little bit different way instead of using por. Yeah, you could skip the por. You can
Okay.
you can use por.
Could
You
use
can
it-
skip the
You
por.
could use it or
Yeah,
okay.
that's one of those things. Yeah, you can skip the por and just say the period of time if you want to. Both are correct. Both
Okay.
of those work. Now, she married twice. I give a definite number of times. So now that one little word twice, dos veces, that pegs it that it's got to be pretérito. Ella se casó dos veces, se casó dos veces, nada más, nothing else. That's the only thing you can use there. Se casó dos veces. Bien. Okay. ¿Tiene preguntas o no?
It's
Um,
tricky because I know I can talk myself into seeing it different ways. And then if I go down that rabbit hole, you know.
Okay, it is kind of a rabbit hole. Now, one thing you should know is that this concept of mixing pretérito and imperfecto is tough for all English speakers. It just is, okay? All people who come to Spanish from an English background find this difficult. I would imagine French probably don't struggle quite as much with it because they have similar ideas. I'm sure, you know, well, I'll speak out of turn. Probably Italian does just because of the Latin background of two languages. But for English speakers, this concept is tough. And I'm going to have you guys practice this a little bit. We're going to do this last practice before I send you out and fling you into the pool to swim. Okay. Vamos a ver. I want to go through what the answers were for this, because here we definitely see where we are combining the two, right? One of these will likely be an imperfecto. One of them likely would be a pretérito. Okay, let's say in the instructions, in all of them, one verb should be preterite and the other imperfecto, okay? So guys, if what you mean is was doing, game over, it's imperfecto. That's all there is to it. Was doing, that is the background action, background activity, okay? So think of it as a movie camera focusing on a character in a movie, that somebody is in a public place like a park or somewhere, and there are people doing stuff behind the main character, okay? All this stuff that, you know, the extras in the movie are doing behind the main actor. That's all imperfecto, all of it, always. Because that stuff was going on before the main character came into the frame. That stuff in the background was going on while he was doing whatever he was doing, and it was going on once he left the frame of the camera. That's background action. I was walking, right? Depending on which verb you use for walk, caminaba, yo caminaba en el parque, or yo andaba en el parque, right? Which word you use for, you know, walk is interchangeable there, but caminaba en el parque. When I saw her, but now look, I was walking, and now I got an interrupting action. I was walking, and then I saw her, and I saw her happen like that. Would you naturally say in English, I was seeing her? No.
You could, but I
You
was
would
seeing her
say
go
I
by.
was seeing her if you were dating her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that I was seeing. That works with imperfecto.
As I was watching,
Salíamos, we were going out. I was seeing her, as in going out. But if you were walking along and you saw her, that thing happens. And it happened, and it's done. Because it's something that's over very quickly. So, caminaba en el parque cuando la vi. Cuando la vi. When her eyes saw, cuando la vi. Okay. And now think of those two actions, was walking and saw her. You can't really flip the order of that and make them into the opposite tenses. Think of that activity. You would never say, I was seeing her when I walked in the park, and walked wouldn't be like over. Because if you mean I was walking in the park, right? Then it's saw her. It's not like I was seeing her and now I walked and ooh, the walked part is over. No, you walk by, you see all kinds of other stuff. You see somebody, boom, happens, and then you keep walking, or you stop and walk a different way, or whatever.
what
But
if you were thinking about her when you walked through the door or something like that?
Oh, if you were thinking about her, if you mean you were thinking about her, pensaba en ella, pensaba en ella. Pensaba en ella cuando abrí la puerta. I was thinking about her when I opened the door.
Okay.
Okay. I bought a watch because I needed it. But that happened. Boom, salud. It happened. It's over. Okay. I needed it. Feelings like needed and loved and wanted, those are usually imperfecto, because we often, not always, but we often have a hard time putting a beginning and an end on a feeling. I needed it. How long did you need it? 15 minutes? Half an hour? 5 days? No sabemos. We do not know. We don't know how long you needed it. Maybe you needed to watch for the last 5 years. You never bothered to replace the battery. And oh my God, I'm dying without this watch. Compré un reloj porque lo necesitaba. Okay. When we were at the beach, we saw Roberto. That one is a tougher one to figure out. But it doesn't say we went to the beach. We
were there.
We were there. Do we know how long we were there? Are we specific? We're not. We were just hanging out. So again, this is background. And we know because again, it's a saw thing. When you saw somebody, it's over like that. Because all of a sudden, boom, there they are. And you notice it, right? Estábamos en la playa, nos quedábamos en la playa cuando vimos a Roberto. Okay. Did you notice that the room was empty? Which one is descriptive in that combination?
The empty room?
Was empty.
Noticing.
The room was empty?
Which one is descriptive there? The room was
Noticing.
empty.
Empty.
That's the description. The room was empty. Estaba vacío. Estaba vacío. So, right, if I'm just saying it was empty, it was full, it was pretty, it was ugly, it was anything, that's all description. Okay, just description. So, estaba vacío. And the did you notice will become, pretérito, right? And they use, I think, fijarse. They use notaste. There are different ways for saying notice. Notaste works.
I said, te diste cuenta de el cuarto
Ah, te dice what you
Espacio.
realized? Okay, so that's
Yes.
not an exact translation, but you know what? Does that give the same idea? Does it convey the same idea? Yes,
But
it does.
I thought when we said dar cuenta de, that it was to notice or to realize,
Yeah.
kind of
See, and for
interchangeably.
notice, I would not use notar. I would use fijarse. I mean, just naturally, that's the verb I would personally choose. But as in English, we have synonyms, words that we can substitute that mean either the same thing or pretty darn close. People do it. It's no big deal, right? So,
Mhm.
notaste, did you notice? Te fijaste and te fijaste. And did you notice? That's what I personally would have said, but you know, te diste cuenta de que? Did you notice? Did you realize that? Well, if you realize something, you noticed it, right? It gives the same idea, just using a different kind of activity word. Okay.
Mhm.
This was a little last. El último. El último es más específico. I met a guy, and met means it happened. They didn't say I was meeting him. No, I met him, right? Over with. Conocí. Conocí a un tipo, conocí a un tío, conocí a un chico, depende, right? Which one did they use for guy? There, I'm curious. Un
They
tío.
use- yeah.
Spanish way, yeah, un tío. In Latin America, instead of saying tío for guy, they might say tipo, T-I-P-O, tipo. Conocí a un tipo, means the same thing. But he was living in the jungle.
What if you change the sentence to say, I met a guy when I was living in the jungle? Does that make the second one preterite?
No. Second one would still be imperfecto because I was living, was doing, over with, game over, imperfecto.
Okay, when.
Doesn't matter
I
who
lived- okay,
was doing. It matters that it's was, that the idea in your head is was doing.
Okay, when I lived in the jungle, because if you go back to the one about he lived in Spain for, and then he lived somewhere else, and it was preterite because it was a chain of things. So then put it in, I met a guy when I lived in the jungle. Does that change it by eliminating the was?
Yeah, okay, yes. Well, it could. Es posible.
That's ongoing.
It would still probably be vivía when I lived in the. It probably still would, because when okay, I met a guy when I lived in the jungle. Did you live in the jungle a long time? A while? Do I know how long you lived there?
But
If
in
I
that
don't-
earlier one, we didn't know how long they lived in Spain or
Yeah.
how long.
Yeah, if you don't know how long, it'll probably be imperfecto. So
Okay.
here's a thing for you to really think about. Don't worry so much about, did I do it wrong? Think about, what do you mean? If you mean I was living in, and you're not focusing on a set period of time, keep it imperfecto. Okay. This whole thing of background activity means it was going on, something happened in the middle of it, it was still going on, and when this activity is all done, that background was still probably going on. It literally paints a picture in your head.
I noticed that in a lot of the exercises, they use a star when they're talking about location in the past. But do you use a star other times in the past? What if you have conditions that are changing? He wasn't feeling good, or
Es posible, es posible. ¿Para qué? Usually when I talk about location in the past, that building was on, building was on the corner of Halsted and whatever street.
Right, location
That-
makes sense.
That building was on the corner of Frank Lloyd Wright and Via Linda. It doesn't matter how long. You're painting a picture in my head. Estaba en la intersección de Frank Lloyd Wright y Via Linda. Right? Where something was located was going on for a long time. And, you know, unless you're talking about a building was torn down last year, in which case that's an event.
Okay, so, but if you're not talking about a location,
If
is
you,
it
okay,
common
so
to
es
star-
posible. Here's what is possible. You know, like let's say I want to use estar in pretérito. Estuvo, por ejemplo, somebody may even say, por ejemplo, ayer estaba en casa. Yesterday I was at home. So even though I'm saying yesterday, ayer estaba en casa. Yesterday I was home. I was home. Wow, yesterday. That was a lot of time. And I was home and in the morning, and then I was home at noon, and then I was home in the PM, and then I was home in the evening. I was home. Estaba en casa. Estaba en casa ayer. I was home yesterday. I was at
Okay.
home.
But that still
was-
sounds like a location to me and not
But-
a state condition that's changing.
Here's where it may change. And I will tell you, it would have to be something kind of this specific to change location in the past to pretérito. Estuve 2 horas en casa y entonces salí a la oficina. Estuve 2 horas en casa. Now, if I put a time limit on how long I was home, not just all day, which is a whole bunch of hours, but I was home 2 horas, 2 hours. Then I could very, very easily, and probably would have to change it to estuve en casa 2 horas. I was home for 2 hours because I am saying it was done after that period of time. But if I just say, oh, ayer estaba en casa, yesterday I was home. I wouldn't say probably ayer estuve en casa, and just vaguely like that. If it's just vague, I was home yesterday, it'll be estaba. Location in the past is usually estaba. Location of anything in the past is usually estaba. It's only pretérito if I am like defining a period of time for a beginning and an end. It's rare to hear that with location. It's rare to hear that with it's rare to hear pretérito with location. Not usually a customary thing to hear.
Well, I'm trying to think of a situation that has nothing to do with location that is using a star in a past tense. And that's my question is that a common thing, or will we just not expect that you're going to be using a star
Just not.
except for
It
location?
would be estar maybe with an ando. Okay, por ejemplo, estuve manejando, estuve manejando 30 minutos camino a Phoenix. I was driving at 30 minutes to get to Phoenix because I set a time limit on it. And I
Mhm.
was driving for a 30-minute time period till I hit the Phoenix city limits. But most of the time when you talk about the story was here, I was in the hotel room, I was at the beach. Not I went to the beach, I was at the beach. Imperfecto. Imperfecto. Fui al supermercado el sábado por la mañana. El sábado por la mañana fui al supermercado. Estaba en el supermercado mucho tiempo porque no podía encontrar las cosas. You know, I was at the supermarket for a long time. I was there. Estaba en el supermercado. If I tell how long I was at the supermarket, estuve solamente 20 minutos en el supermercado. I was there for 20 minutes. Now I've given myself a time limit. Then it's estuve. But that's pretty much it.
Marilyn,
Say we were at the beach, we were at the hotel, it's imperfecto. Because that's vague.
Well, he was
If I don't give a time limit, it's vague.
sad. He was feeling sad. So are we using,
Estaba triste, estaba muy triste. Se sentía muy triste, he was feeling. Estaba muy triste. He was really sad. I've never heard anybody use estuvo triste.
Hmm.
It suena muy rara. It sounds odd to them. Sounds odd.
Marilyn,
just
I've
seemed like,
He
Sorry.
got
All the-
sad. He got sad. You would use a different verb to say that happened.
okay.
Susana,
Yeah.
¿tienes pregunta?
yeah, I thought I was okay with all this, but now I'm confused.
Thank you, Susan.
Sí, siempre.
Because, okay, so I went to the park yesterday. We didn't say I went to the park yesterday for 12 hours. We said I went to the park yesterday.
Fui al
But
parque.
As we said yesterday, the correct answer is preterite. But then what you've been saying is, you know, I'm to my house all
But
day.
went and was are two different things.
Okay,
Went, it was a motion,
okay,
happened, over.
okay.
I was.
That's kind of ethereal. I was
Yeah, it's just out
like
there.
we're doing different things.
I was at the park. ¿Dónde estabas? Where were you? Oh, estaba en el parque.
So,
Only way I'm gonna say estuve is, you know, estuve en el parque solamente 30 minutos. I was just at the park 30 minutes.
Okay.
That's the only way I would do that.
Okay.
Muy raro. Very, very rare. You know, usually just I was there, estaba. Because I was. There's not a lot of action going on in was. There's action going on in went.
okay,
There's action going on in opened. There's no action really happening with was.
so I was in the park yesterday would be in perfecto.
Estaba en el parque. That's how somebody would say it. If you said, I'm going to be very proper and say this was yesterday, estuve en el parque. Oh, okay. Yeah, it'd be nice. They're not going to correct you. They know what you mean, but it sounds funny. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay.
okay, so notice English. There's a way to explain it. I cooked last night. I was cooking.
Mhm.
I went to Phoenix. Wow, I saw an accident when I was driving to Phoenix.
Mhm.
I was in my room. I was on the street. I was on the patio. We were in the office. We used to be. Yeah. No. You just were. We were. You know, there's no, was is always was in English.
Mhm.
I was there yesterday. I was there every day. Is there any difference in English? No, none whatsoever. In English, we don't have that distinction at all. It
Thank
doesn't even
goodness.
exist. That's why you have a hard time with it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because we don't have any, you have no mental framework to compare that to. You got nothing. You got nothing to hang on to. And you want something to hang on to, but you haven't got it.
Mm.
Eso es. That's the way it is. Yeah. Okay. Bien. Vale. We good so far? Okay. Bien. Let's do one more little exercise. I'm going to shoot you out to talk about very ordinary stuff. I did not give you a heads up on this because I don't want you to prepare. I want you to just talk as if you walked into the room, saw everybody, and spontaneously wanted to say these things. But we'll do this as the last warm-ups that you can ask a question before we go do it. Okay, vamos a ver. Ay, 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 ¿dónde está? Está aquí, está aquí. Okay. Hoy no, and you've got to look at all the clues around. Hoy no something with visitar. Hoy no something with visitar a mi abuela. And let's put in a yo. Did they give us a premise of no yo? They didn't. Anyway, okay. Let's make these yo. Hoy no
Visité.
visité. Hoy no visité a mi abuela. And we've got hoy. Hoy no visité a mi abuela. Today I didn't visit my grandma. Visit is an actual action, not I was with grandma.
Mhm.
If I was with grandma, it's going to be estaba, but visitar is not estar. Right? Visitar is a definite action. Yeah. Hoy no visité a mi abuela. La semana pasada, yo. These are all going to be yo, unless they tell us something otherwise. La semana pasada yo
I went.
We,
Fui.
fui. Fui a la playa todos. Sí, todos los días. Sí, bien. And you know, here we've got two contradictory things.
Mhm.
We've got todos los días, which usually should be iba, but
And
last
yeah,
week kind of overruled it. You got to go by the feel. Okay. Cuando vivía en Bilbao, when I used to live in Bilbao,
Iba?
Eva?
should it be fui or iba? Fui or
It's-
iba? When what do you mean? When I used to live in Bilbao, I used to go visit the Guggenheim Museum, or
Yeah.
when I used to live in Bilbao, I visited one time. Does it say one time, 5 times?
No.
No, it just,
Eva, Eva.
well, I visit.
Iba,
When-
yeah. Iba visitar. I used to go. Because I'm not saying how often, just look, when I used to live there. Now we're on a roll of, we're talking about like a habit, right?
Mhm.
A habit is going to be an ia verb or an aba verb. That's it. Okay. Hace un momento. Oh, a mí will be a me. Me.
Pedi.
You know,
Is
I think what they're saying here is I asked myself. Hace un momento. I've got to check. Oh, it might be a he asked. He asked me.
It's
A
preterite
ver,
tense, whatever
I
it
am
is.
trying to see if
Whatever,
they
yeah.
are, if
There
they,
it is,
they don't. Me
Isn't
pidió. This is a kind of a hard one, actually. Me pidió que, that's right, me pidió. He asked me to get married to him. Well, okay, that's a
Oh,
hard
really?
one. Skip that one. We're going to be using much more usual stuff in this. You know, he asked me to get married to him is not what you're going to be. You're going to be talking about what you did on a normal day. La semana pasada, Luis. Muy raro. He was weird. Él nunca se comporta así. He never acts that way. But wow, last week he was really strange. He was acting weird.
Estaba.
Yeah, that's Or I would say estaba.
Estaba muy raro. He was weird last week.
Mhm.
That's just a description. He was. You can't
Even
put
though
a
it says
time,
last
you
week.
can't peg a time period on he was weird. He was acting strange. You can't peg a time period on that, right? Anoche yo no
Fui.
fui al cine porque estaba en doble F, no. Fui, no. Fui. Okay. Now, take a look. Miren aquí. Anoche no fui al cine porque estaba enfermo. I was sick. I didn't go to the movies because I was ill. I was sick before, right? I was sick when everybody else went to the movies, and I was sick all night. I was sick. Estaba enfermo. But fui al cine. No fui al cine. I didn't go to the movies. Como tenía que terminar el trabajo de doctorado. Oh, I had to finish my doctorate. Ha, ha, ha. Como tenía que terminar seeing as I had to finish my doctoral work, I did not attend. I did not attend my friend's conference. Asistir para yo.
No, asistí.
Asistir. Asistir, no asistir.
Right, preterite.
Conferencia would be a conference, a meeting, a reunion of some kind, right? So here is another thing. This tenía que terminar el trabajo. I had to finish the work. So I didn't attend the conference. I had to finish. I was working all day. Uh-oh, the time is coming to go to the conference. Can I go? Oops, no, I decide I can't go, and I'm still working after that whole event. So that's the tenía que terminar. Tenía que terminar is going on in the background here. Okay. Miriam, she got married 3 times. 3 times this summer, guy, Dios mío. Se
This summer, se casó.
Se casó 3 veces. Yeah, because we give a definite 3 times. Y ese verano se enamoró. She fell in love. Fell in love is an event.
Okay.
Yeah, right? Hace 2 semanas, no. Didn't work for 2 weeks.
Travel for 2 weeks?
Porque tenía la pierna y el brazo rotos de accidente. My leg and my arm were broken from a motorcycle accident.
Tenía la pierna is broken.
A ver, yeah, viajaba. That one is a hard one. You won't be asked to do that. Okay, let's leave this for now. Let's leave this for now because I'm going to ask you to go and talk about what happened to you yesterday with whomever you're in the group with. Just what happened to you yesterday. Or alternately, you can talk about what happened to you today before you came into Zoom room. Okay, ¿está bien? ¿Tienen preguntas antes de hablar? Do you have any questions before going off to talk? I just want you to do a simple conversation as if you were walking into class, seeing each other face to face. But I do want you to mix things depending on, but you have to use your verbs according to how you perceive it. And if you say, I was busy, that's a description, right? But if you say, I worked in my yard for 2 hours, then that's definite event. You know, put in that little box of a 2-hour frame of time work. ¿Entienden? ¿Entienden? ¿Sí o no? Okay. I want you to throw out typical infinitives before I send you out to Zoom rooms, to breakout rooms. What would be typical infinitives of things that you would do around the house yesterday or today before class? What would be typical, not the conjugation yet, just the typical infinitives you would use?
Cleaned.
Okay, limpiar, limpiar,
Caminar,
peinar,
cocinar,
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 Trabajar,
trabajar, claro. Ah,
Mirar,
shop.
mirar,
cocinar,
air,
leer,
dormir,
dormir, claro, magnífico. Dormir, me gusta muchísimo, dormir.
Comer, comer.
Comer,
manejar.
muy bien, sí, comer. Lavar, lavar la ropa, lavar la ropa, ¿no?
Sí.
Okay, no importa la acción. Or maybe you want to talk about how you felt using estar. Maybe you just want to talk about where you were with your favorite doggy. Where you went is different than where you were. ¿Bien? ¿Está bien? Ok, magnífico. 7 minutos o más. 7 minutes or more.
7 bien.
7 minutos.
Sí.
7 minutos. Okay. I'm going to try to send you out. ¿Cuántos somos? 11, 10, 3, 3 cuartos. 3 rooms. We're going to create 3 rooms here. Remember to hit your join button. Talk about what you did yesterday or what you did today before coming to Zoom class.
Hmm.
Okay, hola. ¿Y cómo fue todo? How did everything go? ¿Bien? Fácil, difícil, fácil, difícil. Fácil, difícil, nada.
Ah,
Difícil.
Difícil. Ok, ok. Está bien.
Normal.
¿Normal?
Normal.
¿Es difícil normal o es fácil normal? Ok. Bien. ¿Tienen preguntas después de practicar? What kind of questions do you have after practicing that? What kind of
Karen.
speed bumps did you have?
Okay. I have a sentence with 2 ongoing actions.
Okay, por ejemplo.
Yo era en casa cuando los trabajadores estaban trabajando sobre el techo.
Okay. No estaba en casa? I wasn't at home?
No, she wasn't.
I was at home.
No
Yo-
estaba en
yo-
casa.
Estaba en casa at the same time as these guys are tromping around on the roof.
Okay, muy importante. Are those two things going on all the time together?
Rick team all day, yes.
Notice what word you said, while. That while is important.
Okay.
While
cuando-
means this was going on, and at the exact same time, this was going on.
Mhm.
That's what while mean. I bet you never thought about that. While means those two things were going on simultaneously. That is the reason for using while.
Okay,
So mientras rather than cuando.
They're both imperfecto.
they both are, okay.
Entonces,
I'm sure you
no
did have
estaba,
two.
yo no estaba en casa cuando ellos trabajaban, cuando los trabajadores pintaban, por ejemplo, pintaban la
Ujú.
casa, o trabajaban con la plomería while they're working the plumbing, lo que sea, ¿no? Wherever it might be. So here's the key. What's important is not so much to fixate on the rules as to think, wait a minute, do I mean while? I mean those two things are going on at the same time. That's the reason for
Yes,
using the word while. They're both going to have to be imperfecto.
Okay.
Okay,
Ok, entonces, por ejemplo, yo cocinaba mientras mi esposo trabajaba con su software. I was cooking while he was working on his software.
Oh.
Pero cocinaba cuando él se fue para caminar. But I was cooking when he took off to go walking. Those are two different things. I was cooking and same time he was doing this. There are two things going on at the same time, connected by while, mientras.
Mhm.
But I was cooking when he took off, right? Cocinaba cuando Juan, not mientras, while, cuando Juan, cuando él se fue, when he left.
so imperfect and then preterite.
Pero depende, but it depends. It depends on if you're talking
Right.
about two things simultaneously going
Right.
on, or one thing going on and now, a boom event happens in the middle of this.
Mhm.
Boom in the middle, that's pretérito, pretérito, pretérito. This all the time is imperfecto. ¿Sí?
Sí.
Sí.
Ok. Bueno, hay más preguntas. Son buenas preguntas. Ustedes tienen buenas preguntas, claro. ¿Nada más?
No, no.
Just have to
Okay.
practice.
Okay.
Must.
Práctica, sí. Okay. Lo que van a hacer, what you guys are going to do is you're going to put this to actual use now. You're going to put it to use to prep for next week. What I'm going to want you to do is to watch If you did not watch episode 15 of Destinos, you're going to rewatch that. If you did and you say, I know what I'm doing, then you'll just watch 16. I want you to write down for me, and I'll give you a digital place to do this so you don't have to scribble stuff in, notes. I'll give you probably a little spot on one of these digital spots to do it. You're going to talk about a 5-sentence summary. When I say 5 sentences, I don't want some big old long essay. I want, give me like about 5 sentences telling me what were the key things that happened in episodes 15 and 16. Or maybe you just want to take episode 16 alone. A mí no me importa, that doesn't matter to me. The highlights. Pick the highlights. Okay? Por ejemplo, Arturo y Raquel estaban Arturo y Raquel fueron al parque, visitaron al parque y fueron de compras y ella estaba muy enamorada de Arturo. She was in real love. But now look, when I talk about how she felt, not just that she fell in love, but she was really in love with him. Estaba muy contenta cuando pasaba todo el día con Arturo. She was really happy when she spent the day with him. It should be that simple. Don't get into minutia. The big takeaways. What are like 5 big takeaways? How'd that person feel? If you're talking about how they felt, you're going to need imperfecto. Or did they do something? Or did they do something and something interrupted? Were they doing something in the background and something interrupted? Give me 5 big takeaways from just one episode. And it doesn't matter if you say, oh my gosh, I didn't want to admit to her, I haven't watched episodes 1 through 14. No, it doesn't matter. You're just going to tell me what happened. And even if you understood no Spanish at all, you can see from the action what they were doing. So it doesn't really matter if you know the backstory, if you don't know a thing. You're going to tell me how those people felt or what they did, the 5 big takeaways. And you can make it 15 and 16 together, or you can make it just 16, episode 16, depending on how, whatever comes easy for you. ¿Está bien? You good with that? ¿Está bien? Okay. Excelente. Excelente. I think if I give you that to do, I am not going to give you a whole lot of extra reading on the side. ¿Verdad? Right?
Sí.
Okay, bien. I think that would be a little bit of overload. Ooh, I was going to start on llevar. I think we're going to leave that go because it's almost 7:30, and if I do this, it'll be putting another chunk of work on you. Okay, pero vamos a terminar la clase con un ejercicio de escuchar de lo que yo hice ayer, what I did yesterday. Lo que hice yo. What did I? Meaning, what did I do? Lo que hice yo. What I did. Lo que hice yo. Okay. Ayer fue el día de la elección. Un día muy importante. Y ayer no tenía clases. Yo no tenía clases ayer. Qué bueno. Tenía todo el día para trabajar en casa. Tenía todo el día para relajarme un poquito. Bien, ayer Ayer me levanté muy temprano a las 6:30 de la mañana y fui al parque regional, al parque McDowell, aquí muy cerca de Fountain Hills, y hice una caminata de 6 millas. Hice una caminata de 6 millas en el parque que se llama Scenic, el sendero Scenic. Y se llama Scenic porque hay una vista de todo el valle encima de la montaña muy pequeña, ¿no? Bueno, entonces hice una caminata de 6 millas y hacía buen tiempo ayer. Hacía fresco, hacía sol. Era un día perfecto. Era un día perfecto para dar una caminata en el parque. Y después regresé o llegué a casa a las 8:30 y empecé a trabajar. Trabajaba todo el día. Estaba en casa todo el día. Después de la caminata, estaba en casa todo el día. Y lavaba la ropa todo el día. Okay. Cociné algo especial para mirar las noticias con lo que pasó el día de la elección. Horneé galletas para mi familia. Horneé galletas de calabazas, pumpkin, galletas de calabazas. Y entonces vi la televisión, vi la tele un poquito, pero no veía las noticias toda la noche. No veía las noticias toda la noche porque no tenía toda la información. Sí, tenemos que esperar mucho tiempo hasta que tengamos resultados. No tuvimos resultados anoche. We did not get results last night. We did not get them. No tuvimos resultados de la elección anoche. Tenemos que esperar unos días. No sabe, quizás una semana entera, no sabemos, ¿verdad? Eso es todo. ¿Entendieron ustedes? Did you understand everything?
I think so.
Okay.
Most of it.
O la mayoría, most of it.
Most of it.
La mayoría. Bien, okay, vale. So I want you to rewatch those 2 episodes and pick one or the other, or just give me and I'll give you a little place digitally to just give a 5 summary thing, and don't make them very big, long, huge sentences. Tell me what happened or what was going on, and I'll just see if they make sense. I want you to put it into the context of talking about a story that you see. ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
If you are watching El Tiempo Entre Costuras, desgraciadamente, sadly, no existe una versión para episodio 16. Episode 16
It's
does
missing.
not exist.
Walter?
Busqué por todas partes del internet. Esta tarde busqué por todas partes. Busqué. No. If you want to play Sherlock Holmes, And find that episode broken down into a 40-some minute episode broken down into many 5-minute episodes.
Ew.
You're
Oh.
welcome to try to go do that and put them in the right order. I was not that adventurous.
We'll have to pick the 17.
I will tell you the episode we are missing is an escape episode. So sadly, I'm sure it is very dramatic.
Yes.
It is a flight, a fleeing Portugal episode.
On the train.
So you're welcome to try to piece it together in itty bitty, really hard to find and understand episodes. All I will be able to give you is the last episode of that particular movie. I'm sure they did that for a reason.
They want you to pay.
Although I do not know where, because I did not receive any request for payment. I probably would have paid for that one episode. I just flat out could not find it.
Uh-huh.
So,
And,
Yeah.
and that's the end of the program?
it's
Or
the denouement, and then, yes, and then there, so I will give you 17, but there's a reason we're going from 15 to 17.
16.
No existe 16, no existe 16.
Okay.
16 does not exist as a full unit unless you find a pay, and I would gladly pay for it, except, buying the movie would have cost me like $100. Do I really want to spend $100 on a movie? No, because it's, a European
It's on Netflix. a few
thing.
years ago.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it will come in a format that would play on an American computer. So sadly, as much as I would like to.
It's on Amazon Prime in England,
Oh, well then,
UK.
you might be able to,
In the
well,
UK,
yeah, maybe you
fly
can,
over
maybe you can't.
there.
Well, if it's on Amazon, then I should be able to
Not
find
Amazon.
it. Well, I'm gonna go check on
Amazon.
Amazon now.
Amazon in England, though.
Uh,
Can't get it here.
Okay, because I thought surely I would have seen it looking around, yeah, but
Yes.
no, okay.
You have to have UK. You have to be in the England. How
Lo
about-
siento mucho. I am really sorry. Lo siento mucho. That's what you hear,
Just get your
protect-
husband to go spoof your IP address through a
Yes.
VPN to show that you're sitting in London, and you can do it on Amazon.
Ah,
there you go.
Ah.
You